Welcome back. We have built up to today's topic. Hallucinations, the single biggest weakness of every AI in the world. By the end of this lesson, you will understand what hallucinations really are, why they happen, why they are so hard to spot, and why there is no fixing them, only working around them. We will meet some famous cases, learn to spot the warning signs, and end with a rule you can use every day. Quick recap from the last 3 lessons. AI does not know things, it predicts. Predictions are based on patterns the model learned during training. Patterns are not knowledge. And crucially, there is no fact checker inside the model. Nothing stops it from predicting something that sounds perfectly plausible, but is completely wrong. That is what we look at today. So what is a hallucination? It is a confident, plausible, wrong answer. The model says something that sounds authoritative, the right tone, the right shape, the right vocabulary. But the actual content is wrong. A famous case from 2023, a lawyer used ChatGPT to find past cases, and ChatGPT made up cases that did not exist. The lawyer submitted them to a court. The court was not amused. The model had no idea those cases were fabricated. To the model, they were just the next likely tokens. Hallucinations sound right. They look right. They are not. Important distinction. The model is not lying. Lying means knowing the truth and choosing to hide it. The model does not know any truth. It just predicts the next likely token, one piece at a time. It has no concept of true or false. It has no intent. When it tells you a fake case citation, it is not trying to deceive you. It is producing the most plausible sounding string of tokens, given its training. That is all it ever does. Why do hallucinations happen? Because patterns have no truth check. Training data contains both fact and fiction, encyclopedias and novels, news and satire, real code and buggy code. The model learns the shape of an answer, not the truth of it. If a fiction book describes a legal case in convincing detail, the model can later produce a similar made-up case in convincing detail. More training does not fix this, it just makes the model better at sounding confident. Hallucinations come in many flavors. Wrong facts, dates, names, numbers that are simply incorrect. Fake citations, academic papers that do not exist, court cases that were never decided, URLs that lead nowhere. Made-up APIs, function names and parameters that look real but do not exist in the library you asked about. And perhaps most dangerous, confident misreadings of a document you gave the model. It says your contract says X, when your contract says Y, but it says it with full confidence. Wrong facts. Fake citations. Made-up APIs. Misread documents. All sound equally confident. Why are hallucinations so hard to spot? Because the model writes with the same confidence either way. There is no tone of doubt. There is no I am not sure. The model has no internal sense of certainty to communicate. Even asking it are you sure often makes it double down. It produces more confident tokens explaining why it is right. You believe it because it sounds right. That is the trap. The shape of an AI answer feels like knowledge, even when it is fabrication. How much should you trust an AI? It depends on the stakes. Low stakes, brainstorming ideas, drafting an email, casual chat, you can trust it fairly freely. Worst case, you rewrite a paragraph. Medium stakes, code, document summaries, verify the parts you actually rely on. Run the code. Check the summary against the original. High stakes, legal, medical, financial, verify everything. Never trust an AI alone for high stakes decisions. Always have a human in the loop. What can you actually do to spot hallucinations? Ask the model for sources, and then check those sources exist. Asking the model how confident it is has limited use, because it will claim confidence regardless, but sometimes it will hedge. Cross-check any unfamiliar claim with a real search. And trust your gut. If an answer sounds too neat, too perfectly tailored, too much like what you wanted to hear, that is exactly when you should check. Spotting hallucinations is a skill. It gets easier with practice. What do providers do to reduce hallucinations? Several things. Retrieval augmented generation, letting the model look things up before answering. System prompts that tell the model not to make things up. Reinforcement learning from human feedback, training the model to be more cautious. All of these reduce hallucinations. None of them eliminate hallucinations. There is no fix in the architecture of an LLM. Pattern matching will always be able to produce plausible nonsense. The best you can do is reduce how often it happens. Here is one mitigation worth understanding. The system prompt is a hidden instruction sent before your message. Providers use it to tell the model how to behave. A common instruction is, if you do not know the answer, say so. This reduces confident guessing. It does not eliminate it. The model still has no internal sense of what it does or does not actually know. It just learns, from training, that saying "I do not know" is sometimes the right pattern. When do hallucinations matter? Creative writing, they are the point. The model making up a story is exactly what you want. Brainstorming, wrong ideas still spark useful thought. Code, usually verifiable, so easier to catch. You run it, and it either works or it doesn't. Factual claims, high risk. If you rely on the model for a fact, you must verify that fact independently. Always, hallucinations aren't a bug to be fixed. They are a property of how AI works. If you remember one idea from this lesson, remember this. Confidence is not accuracy. AI always sounds confident. Confidence tells you nothing about whether the answer is true. Verify before you trust, especially for facts. And understand, hallucinations are not a bug to be fixed. They are a property of how AI works. Pattern matching can always produce plausible nonsense. Always. Quick recap. Hallucinations are confident wrong answers. The model is not lying, it has no concept of true or false, just patterns and predictions. They are hard to spot because confidence sounds exactly like knowledge. The rule: verify before you trust, especially for facts. Especially for anything that matters. Here is a small exercise. Open any chatbot. Ask it about a topic you know really well, your hobby, your job, your hometown. Look for confident details that are subtly wrong. Bonus points: ask the model for a citation, then go check whether that citation actually exists. Most people who do this exercise for the first time come back shaken. They trusted answers they should not have. Terms you now know. Hallucination, a confident, plausible, wrong answer. System prompt, a hidden instruction sent to the model before your message. RAG, retrieval augmented generation, letting the model look things up. Trust calibration, matching your level of trust to the stakes. Verify before trust, the rule for anything factual. 5 more terms. Coming up next, the cure for hallucinations. There is no fix in the model itself. Pattern matching will always be able to produce plausible nonsense. But you can guard against it, powerfully, with a technique called grounding. Grounding is the topic of our last lesson in this phase. Once you have it, you have the foundation to use any AI well. This is the second to last lesson in this phase. One more, grounding. Then we leave AI theory behind and start using real tools. We meet agents, we install open code, we start building. Everything from here on builds on the foundation you now have. Confidence is not accuracy. Hold this, and the rest of the course gets easier. Thanks for spending this time with me. Next, we meet the cure for hallucinations, grounding.